Welcome to Can Angels Fly? I'm Nancy. I have a question. Have you ever really felt like shit? You don't want to get up. You don't want to comb your hair. You don't want to put no clothes on. You don't want to clean up the house. Your spirit is just really low. You might be depressed, you know? In this video, we're going to talk about depression. This is a part 2 of a multi-part series. Don't know how many parts there will be. But during this video, we're going to explore a particular realm that I believe is associated with depression. In part 1, I moved to identify that particular dimension or realm, and it was, or it is, the ethereal realm. My argument was, hey, if the all was the source of depression, then all beings under its power would have depression continuously. And I also argued that depression does not reside in the body because the body is merely a machine, and without the animation from the all, the body doesn't even work. I even focused primarily on the brain as a place in which the consciousness may sit, but it does not have depression in it because neither does it work without the animation or the what did I call it in that video, the energy from the all is merely a control center. And I was really pointing to how the ethereal realm is the area or the, see, depression causes you can't not to be able to think either, the realm in which depression resides. Now, I did a little research on depression by breaking down the word itself. So I do want to start there because I found some things very, very interesting. One more thing before we move on, I want to refer to one more thing from video number 1. When I was stating my belief about where depression comes from, I was speaking of the connection with all or from all to an individual vessel or body or person or individual as source energy being plugged into a particular vessel. And being plugged in is the key phrase here because that would suggest that universe, all, is the source or the energy, the vault, the original jolt, to animate the physical body. And so as I broke down the word depression, I found out that these letters that spell the word depression can be directly associated with electricity in one form or another. So as I break this down, it may not make sense because my notes are all over the place. I wrote it about a week ago, maybe, and I never really, I put them in order and then they failed, and so now they out of order. So we're going to work through it. So I think I'll start first by reading the definitions that I have for ethereal, or the ether, the ethereal realm. Now, the definition, of course, I went to www.dictionary.com, and the dictionary for ethereal is light, area, airy, tintus, extremely delicate or refined, heavenly or celestial, of or oh my goodness. See, I should never take time away from my writing because then I don't know what to say. To the upper regions of space. Of or maybe relating to the upper regions of space. Okay. And it also, check it out, means electron. Electron. Interesting. Now, I got this, is this the quote? Yeah, this was a quote from a person, I believe her name is Elizabeth Mitchell, was quoted on October 28th, 2014 to, what does it say? This is a part of www.dictionary.com where they gave some quotes and examples from the web. Oh my goodness. A contemporary example. Oh, it's going to be rough, but I'm going to get it out today anyway. Anyway, she states that the hypothetical medium formerly believed to feel. Oh, she's saying it's a hypothetical medium formerly believed to feel. And it goes on to say, we would lack a human face as our symbol. We would exist in the ether of ideas with no concrete stake in the ground to tether us by, and that was by Elizabeth Mitchell, to tether us. I'm going to read that again because that was absolutely horrible. We would lack a human face as our symbol. We would exist in the ether of ideas with no concrete stake in the ground to tether us. And that quote right there was referring to how the ethereal realm is not, without the body, it is not connected to the physical realm. So our bodies are anchored to the physical realm, and the ethereal realm is that hypothetical medium believed to feel the space, and it's space in which we can't see. But I argue that it's highly active. In the first video, I referred to one of the biblical characters. I think it was one of those E characters, either Esau or Enoch or something, Elijah, somebody like that. And the text related to that particular biblical character talked about how this person would astral project. They would go walk in heaven with God on tours and stuff. But as that character astral projected from his body into the higher heavens, they first had to go through the ethereal realm. In the ethereal realm, that biblical character was under attack by spirits, demons, and entities. And I paralleled that to depression, the spirit of depression living in the ethereal realm. Now, let's see what else I got here. Okay, this is something else I'm just going to state because I found it was interesting. Oh, maybe that's where that goes. Let me see. If I read it, I don't know if this is the case. The hypothetical medium formerly believed to follow all space and to support the propagandation. Next time I'm gonna write much better. Of electromagnetic wave. Electromagnetic, what does this say? Propagandation of electromagnetic waves. It's a mess, I know, but that's what depression does for you. Just ride the wave with me. Anyway, in short, it's pointing back again to electricity in space or air or the ethereal realm. And I believe that electricity is important here because the source, God, plugs in or sends down the original jolt, the jolt that animates us, that brings us alive, that allows us to talk, to breathe, to think. And it's that transmission between God and an individual vessel that is intercepted or interrupted in the ethereal realm by the spirit of depression. So I want to go and try to, I ain't going to show you the picture I caught myself trying to draw, but I'm just going to try to break down real quick, because I know that after all this time, I'm not really going to be able to put things in order, but I just want to give you some examples of how, oh, I know this is really out of order. The letters, even in the word depression, gives us clues to what's taking place. As I mentioned, many of the letters in depression can be directly related to electricity in some way. Let's start with the letter D. D is a classification, rating, or the like, indicating poor quality. In video number 1, I spoke of divine sending a transmission to each individual vessel in which that vessel is animated. That transmission is intercepted by what we might call a dark spirit or demon. In this case, we're talking about the spirit of depression. Now, oh wow, I'm gonna bring something up. I may come to it on my notes and may be able to quote something. I'm not sure. Again, they're out of order. But when I was researching the word depression, how can I say this? I became aware that the spirit, I hope I can find this, that reside in the ethereal realm are spirits that are a lower classification, the letter D. The letter D, again, is defining a classification, rating, or the like, indicating poor quality. As I conducted my research, it's in here somewhere. Hopefully I can find it and quote it. But if it can't, try to take my word for it this time, because I'm suffering from depression. Anyway, it foretells of a spirit being of a lesser quality or a lesser degree. Let me go over here, because I don't think I can make it make sense. What is this? I don't know. Oh, the letter D, let me go back to the letter D, is also defined as far as electricity as electric displacement. The letter D is simultaneous with electric displacement by definition. So what am I trying to say? Source sends an electric wave, source wave, to a vessel. Some of that electricity, the jolt, is displaced by particular spirits. And that spirit and that displaced energy, which creates depression, is a particular type of electricity or energy that is classified as poor quality. Why is it poor quality? Source sent a whole jolt to animate a vessel, and a spirit within the ether intercepted the transmission, breaking down the quality of that electronic transmission to an individual vessel. That is what creates the poor quality or the static or the interruption that occurs. Now, before I go on, it's something else I want to point out. I don't know how this is going to work once again. In the word, let me spell the word depression so I can point something out because it may make it easier for me. I like to spell the word depression now. If you have a piece of paper and pencil, please write it down so that you can follow along with me. Depression. DEPERSEISNO. At this point in time, I like you to look at the ESS. And I would like you to look primarily at this root word because it has its own definition. If I can find it. I know where it should be here somewhere. Now, I know it's here because that had me going. I guess it's not there. Oh, where is it? Oh, my. Give me a moment because it was so interesting that root. Oh, I think that's it. Is that it? Nope. But I think I'm getting to it if you just hang on. No, that's an ESS. I think it said ESS. Okay, now let's talk about that part of the word depression. ESS, I found interesting. Upon researching the word depression, looking at different components of the word, each individual letter, not only did I find that many of the letters have to do with electricity in some form of matter, it also had other clues to the true essence of depression. What am I trying to say? Is that our words, the English word, at least, depression, the spelling is not by chance. The pronunciation is not by chance. It really is, it has life to it. It describes life in more detail than we are conscious of, than we are aware of. You know, we're taught to just learn to read the words. We learn the letters, we learn the vowels, we learn the consonants, we learn to pronounce the word, we learn the basic definition. But what I'm finding is when I go break down one word, it has a whole life, a whole story associated with the word. I've also heard before that when you spell, it's a spell. And I can't stop to say that it is not. Maybe I can make what I'm saying make sense once I talk about the ESS part of depression that I think is like called the root part of the word depression. So let me see. Oh, it says it's a suffix, forming distinctively. I need you to catch this, ESS is a suffix forming distinctively feminine nouns, such as countess, goddess, lioness, which suggests that the spirit of depression is feminine. I have a hard time saying that word. Or is female. I'll say it that way since I can't see it. The word. It says ESS is a woman member of the indicated group or calling. The group or calling. Now, I'm going to highlight that. Then I'm going to go try to hit other parts, the remainder of the parts of the word depression, or try to make it make sense. I'm moving slow. I know. I'll try to speed it up. But just this ESS, the suffix that is found in the word depression, points to a feminine energy, and it is known as a woman member of an indicated group or calling. The reason why I repeated that it is a woman member of a indicated group or calling is because we've already introduced the group of calling when we first defined the letter D as a rating of a poor class. And it was also, let me go back. I'm telling you that depression make it difficult. We're going to talk about it though. We're going to talk about it from a heartfelt way. But I do want to dive deep and look at depression from another perspective. Look at it differently. So we can really see what we're dealing with, where it comes from. Now, I've already covered the letter D. Oh, and let me go over D again. A classification, rating, or the like indicating poor quality. D is also associated with electricity as electric displacement. Oh, this is ridiculous. It was something else there. I know it was important, but okay, now let's deal with the prefix DE, because we know depression, got it written down in front of you. DEPRESSION, depression. Now let's deal with the DE prefix. It says removal of or from something specified. Now remember, my theory is that the awe sends the initial jolt to animate an individual vessel. My theory is that depression doesn't reside with the awe. Neither is it a part or a fixture of the body. But the transmission that takes place when God, the awe, sparks or jolts or animates an individual vessel is intercepted in the ethereal realm by the spirit of depression. We have found that the spirit of depression is female in nature. We have found that we haven't gone through all of it, but at least with the letter D, and I'll point to it whenever it occurs, is that many of the letters related to the word depression can be associated directly with electricity currents. And going back to the letter D as far as electricity, remember the letter D represents electrical displacement. Because or due to the electrical displacement, the transmission has been compromised, and therefore is of poor quality due to the interception. The spirit of depression removes DE, the removal of or from something specified. What have we specified? A transmission from the all. There has something been removed in this transmission from the spirit of depression. DE also is defined as reversal of something. What has been reversed? The transmission has been reversed from its original state. Another definition for DE is departure from. So, the transmission from the all to an individual vessel suffers this DE by the spirit of depression, and DE is defined as the removal or form, the removal of or form from something specified, the reversal of something, and or departure from. And what are we talking about? The departure from, the change from, the reversal of, the transmission. DE is also referred to down from. I really wrote horrible. Oh, undo. I don't know what that is. So what am I saying? The prefix of the word depression is DE. D is the letter D talks about an electrical displacement that takes place. In order for electrical displacement to take place, there has to be electricity. We know that the physical body is not animated without an energy outside of us, source energy, God, the motivation, the original jolt. D is the displacement of that energy, DE, coming down from the all, being and parts of that electricity being displaced or departed from the original jolt, or a reversal of the original jolt, or something specified. In this case, whatever am I specifying? The jolt, the transmission from God to man or to a clay vessel. Yeah. Now let's go to PRE, that part of the word. And this prefix, this is also considered a prefix. It talks about, now remember, I wish I keep this on order. D, once again, D is the displaced electricity. The displaced electricity is of poor quality, causes the electrical current that remains to be of poor quality as it comes down the DE. And now we're going into the PER, the per. Before, this before it was. Anyway, per means before, preclude, preventing what? A clear, untouched transmission from the all to an individual vessel. Per to beforehand. Before what? Entering into the clay vessel, into the man, into the woman. So far, in all that rambling, if you're keeping up with me, if you can ride the wave with me, we have identified that depression is a feminine entity through the, suffix PESS. It comes up again too. And that there is an electrical circuit associated with depression and how that electrical circuit has been interfered with or disrupted or disturbed, and leads to displaced electricity. Through the word, it shows a diminishment in the grade of the download, I'll say. It also shows that through the lettering that creates the word depression, that prior here to that download being received by the clay vessel, the man, the person, the being, all of this takes place. Now, another thing when it comes to the PER, the P-R-E, is that not only does it mean before, it means in time, rank, order, position, and predate. So I wish I could do better at this. If you take each letter of depression in the order in which it spells the word, you can see that it's almost, how can I say it, like a sentence, a definition. It tells a story. And then the pre, when you think of it as rank or order, it's letting the order be known that is taking place. Or it lets you know the order, the process that is taking place in order. Anyway, let's move to P-R-E-S, because that too has a meaning. And it is, it says, direct, relating to young, vital force, youthful, vigor. So, how can I say this? I remember reading in the Bible one time where God said something like this: I would prefer that you stay as you were when you were in your youth. You know, that youthful love. Youthful love of what? Him, obviously, I guess. Obviously, I guess. But this is what depression does to you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody that may be depressed, but this is what it does to you. I just try to keep a sense of humor. But I kind of refer loosely back to that statement in the Bible, because this press, I guess it's press, P-R-E-S, is youth or young or vital force. Now that's what we start with, the vital force. God, the all universe, however you like to address the supreme, the divine, the one that animates your clay vessel, is the original jolt. It is the vital force. And it says, based on the order of the letters that create the word depression, that prior to the electrical current entry into a clay vessel, the energy is a vital force energy. It's youthful, it's young, has vigor. Prior to this electrical displacement or interference, which lowers the quality of the transmission. We're going to go ahead and see if I can work through this because it was really, really interesting. Now let's talk about, I guess it's RES. I think that's what I got here. RES. It says that part of the word depression is an object or thing or matter. Relative to what I've been talking about, if I'm making it make sense just a little bit. What is an object or thing or matter? The clay vessel. So the RES is a term that refers to the clay vessel. Now, RES, what is word origin? Literally, into the midst of things. Into the midst of things. It also has to do with in the matter of, in the midst of things, or in, it has to do with into the midst of things and in the matter of. In the matter of what? The transmission from the all into the matter, which is the physical body, the clay vessel. Now, I've already talked about the ESS part, which shows us that depression is a female spirit. Now, and we also know that because it has to do with the emotions. Emotions end up falling into the moon and all that kind of stuff. And the fourth house of Cancer, mother, wife, you know. So it kind of all goes together. The next thing is SSI, and I ain't talking about no check. But part of the spelling of depression, SSI, also has a meaning. And one of the meanings is small scale integration. The technology for concentrating up to 10 semiconductor devices in a single integrated circuit. Once again, you know, I'm not, I had some lessons in electronics, but I don't remember much. But once again, we have a reference to electricity as well as the integration of conductors. I'll read it again. Small scale integration, the technology for concentrating up to 10 semiconductors, conductor devices in a single integrated circuit. Single integrated circuit. A small scale integration, doing all. The technology for concentrating up to 10 semiconductors. I'll plug in, let's see, into 10 people. Devices in a single integrated circuit. So, to me, that again, it concretely shows another electrical connection relative to the word depression. It also suggests that the electrical conductor in which the current travels has the ability to be broken down into 10 different the original source is able to be broken down into 10 different conductors, or to be integrated into 10 different circuits. Now, let's say hypothetically that universe animates 10 people at a time, based on the word depression, or that upon animation from the all, this female entity, which is depression, can affect 10 circuits or intercept a circuit, a download that can affect up to 10 units once it's affected. I find that so interesting just thinking about it, because some people, depression runs in their family. You know, I'm stretching it here, I know, but the rest I'm not stretching. I'm just not doing a good job. But sometimes depression is generational. Sometimes it covers multiple people. And see, we're going to go into it covering multiple people, especially people that are related to each other or relative to each other in some form or fashion. What am I arguing here? Is that we who, me, you, every individual in humanity that has a clay vessel is animated by a supreme divine being. That supreme divine being resides well above the ethereal realm. We reside in the physical realm. It is in the ethereal realm where the spirit of depression, which is feminine, intercepts the electrical current, the jolt, divine sends to our vessels. And creates a disturbance or dysfunction that creates depression for people in the physical. On to the rest. Press is the next word associated, now this is a root word within the word depression. Press, P-R-E-S-S. Now we basically know what press means, but I'm going to read some definitions. Press, to act upon with steadily weight or force, to move by weight or force in a certain direction or onto a certain position or into a certain position. To compress or squeeze, as to alter in shape or size. Oh my goodness. To bear heavily upon the mind. Wow. And the synonyms for press are annoy, worry, torment, assail, and besiege. Now, as I mentioned, the spelling of the word depression, it followed from one letter to the next, from prefix to suffix to root words, and whatever the last one is at the end. Creates a detailed description of what depression really is. It's like it takes that term and it exposes all of its components. And what is being exposed, again, I know I'm not doing a good job at it, is the same or information that we get when we go to really researching depression. If you go to a psychiatric hospital and for help. They talk about the circuits in the brain. Because we don't talk about physical stuff, but they talk about the circuits being in the brain or some type of chemical imbalance or something. They talk of it in the physical world. However, based on the definition, based on the facts surrounding at least our physical bodies, that we know that the original jolt, that thing that motivates us, is outside of us. We come to know that it's not really the circuits in the brain is what I'm trying to get to, but it is an outside force influencing our experience here in this realm. As we spell out the word depression, again, it gives a deeper definition. When we get to the part, the root word press, it lets us know that it presses down on the vessel, on the individual. It weighs down on them. It resizes them. It bears heavily on them. It compresses and squeezes and like forces to move in certain directions or to take certain positions. We learned that the word press has the synonyms of annoy, worry, torment, and besiege. These words are words that we will use, some of them anyway, when we're depressed. One of the primary words is worry. Another one, you become very agitated and annoyed when suffering with depression. Another definition here is to make something of in a manner. Oh, wait. I will not take a break next time. Oh, to make use of in a manner different from that intended or desired. And that's another thing. Press as a root word to the word depression. It says to make use of a manner different from that intended or desired. The original jolt, the original vital life force energy given by the all, was to animate us so that we could move forward and do what we have to do down in this realm. It wasn't meant to cause or lead to depression. And that's one of the definitions, saying that it alters the intent of the original source or the original use of the vital life force energy granted to a clay vessel. Another definition when it comes to the word press, P-R-E-S-S, is to use for a purpose other than intended. To use for a purpose other than intended. What's being used for a purpose other than intended? The vital life force energy that has been intercepted by the ESS, the spirit, the spirit of depression, which suggests a feminine spirit, has or does infiltrate certain people. And we're going to talk about that in the next video because I'm making a mess. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. This is one more definition. I might as well read it all. I'm going to just read all through it. Maybe y'all can put it together. Still dealing with the term press, I do believe, if I haven't totally got the pages out of order. Yeah, they totally out of order, so I can't even read it. That's a mess. Okay, it was still something else. Hold on, because it's so interesting. Okay. I'm also deal with, can I read it here? The letters SS also have a significant meaning, and it is to wit, namely used especially on a legal document as an affidavit, plead, etc. Is to verify the place of action. It also has to do with, in a prescription, a half. Now, that was the part of the definition I found interesting. In both ways, I can see it being interesting, whether it has to do with like a legal term. How can I say this? See, when I ride a wave, I need to give the information while I'm riding the wave, because once I'm off the wave, it be a real mess. But that interjection or obstruction with the original source energy, the original jolt, that displacement that takes place is what the SS can relate to. Because that is, remember, SS is to verify the place of action. We are verifying that in the ethereal realm, and I even broke down the word ethereal all the way. I skipped from the definition, didn't go through that one, but that had a lot of circuitry to it, and then the word her is in there. It was a whole lot of stuff, and that small word too, but I ain't gonna go there. I just want to give y'all this so you understand where I'm going, maybe, if it ain't much of a mess. Oh, man. Anyway, that SS, remember, is to verify the place of action. We get to verify the place of action as we spell out the word depression. As we look at the prefix, the suffix, the root words, and whatever the N is called, we get a full definition. And in that definition, we actually get the SS, the verified place of action. Remember, the SS also, relative to prescriptions, is a half. So that place of action where the interception takes place. Remember, there is a displacement of electricity, electrical displacement. And that electrical displacement can be up to half based on this SS. It may sound like a reach to you. I don't think so. I'm going to go back to the all. The all chooses by its own wisdom whom to give or provide its vital life force energy to, and to whom it will withdraw it. I can parallel that power to prescribe in a prescription, meaning prescription, SS is symbolic of prescription, to prescribe. Its source, its energy, its vitality, so that we can be animated. So we know from that spirit of depression, she can disturb up to half of the transmission given by the all. We know that either source can animate 10 circuits at a time, 10 vessels, and those can be intercepted, and or the spirit of depression, she can only inflict or influence 10 units at a time. Now, whether those units are relatives or close members of a family, that is something that I have yet to discover, but I'm still searching. But anyway, we were dealing with the SS, and it was one other part. Wow, there's so much. I just read it all out of order. It was so much. This would be interesting if I could really get it in order. This would be really, really interesting. And it was another thing that because when I was also reading, see, I don't even know where this went, but it talked about, and I think it had to do with the ethereal realm, but it talked about the Oracle at Delphi. And I recall during my art history days that the Oracle of Delphi was a priestess. There is the ES again. Women were the oracles at Delphi. As well as, so it just led me, after all the research, I know this, again, may be a little confused, and I hope y'all just kind of pick up what I'm saying so I can move on. Because I have no idea how I can get these notes back in order. But the spirit of depression seems like her origins, based on what I was researching and picking up, is one of the daughters or the oracles of Delphi, which I believe has to do with Greek mythology or something like that. Let's go back through. But it was one more part that I want to cover, then I'm going to let y'all go. I've seen it, and I can't find it. Oh my goodness. It was, this is when I started doing the ethereal realm. So much. Okay, I'm going to go. It was a lot. I know how to win. Because the SION, that part of the word, what's the end part of the word? I can't think about it. SION of the word depression was talking about, it was a variant of the word Zion. Now, y'all know, y'all have heard Zion and the daughters of Zion now. And so I started researching that, the daughters of Zion, because we had in the breaking down, they had talked about the priestess, the oracles of Delphi. It talked about the daughter Zion, which relates to the daughters of Zion in the Bible. And who I've been talking about? I went all over the place, and whoever I was talking about. So I thought that was interesting because, the daughters of Delphi. Again, based on the ES being the root part of this word, suggests that depression is a female entity. And then the rest of the word, the SION and wherever else I talked about, pointed to, again, the daughters of Zion. And then it also pointed to the, I know what it was. The daughters of Zion were a part of the word depression, but I didn't do the word ethereal, which talked about ET, extraterrestrials. It also talked about as HER, her, female, and whatever the definition was for her, which was a little deeper than we know. And that word ethereal also pointed to the daughters. That's what pointed to the what they call it, oracles of Delphi, and which were women. Okay. Anyway, let me finish with the word depression because I'm all over the place. The last part I like to speak of is the ION. ION, the ending of the word depression, and it says an electrically charged atom or group of atoms formed by the loss or gain of one or more electrons. Now, if I'm not mistaken, when we first started this, it talked about electrons at the beginning, the original electron, the original jolt. And now it's talking about at the end of the word depression, ION. It is the loss or the gain of one or more electrons. And that goes back into the electrical displacement under the letters D, E. It also talked about, I can't remember. And then I got here again, remember everything's out of order. It reminded myself to go back and search the Temple of Delphi and stuff. So I'm going to go back to that. Anyway, okay. ION, ion, I guess, ION, a suffix, Latin, denoting action or condition. Denoting action or condition. What condition? The end of the word depression merely lets us know the condition of the original jolt sent to a clay vessel, a human body, by the arm. And what is the condition, the final action or condition of that original jolt? It has been displaced. What is it? Displaced. It is of a lower degree. Let's see. And the word origin in Greek is going, go or going, action, process, or state. Ooh, if y'all rolled that one, oh Lord, it's some more. Ooh. I can't, oh Lord, it's some more, y'all. Okay, that's all right. I ain't got nothing else to do. I had a plan. Look at this mess. This is a mess. We gonna get through depression though. But I just wanted to break that down because these are some interesting facts. I wish I could have said that. Which I don't know, probably won't get many. Let's see, let's go on. Because ion has some significance as far as medicine. It says an atom or a group of, I think this is what I just read and rewrote it. Yeah, because it goes back. An atom or a group of atoms that has acquired a wrought electric charge. Wrought electric charge by gaining or losing one or more electrons. Ions can be either positively or negatively charged. And then I go on and I even go down to the word on. Let me see what I wrote because I really don't remember the on part. It says as far as a preposition. So as to be, I don't know, is that self-explanatory? Was as to be, so in the end, or remain supported by or suspended from. What is supported by or suspended from? The vessel that has been, what's the word? The vessel whose download from the all has been intercepted by the spirit of depression is supported by and suspended by that spirit of depression after that whole process is taking place. Somewhere along the way when I was reading all this mess out of order, I talked about it. The word depression shows is a process that's taking place. And it begins outside of the person. And now all I've been doing in all that rambling is looking at the word depression, looking at the definition of the word depression by letter, by prefix, by suffix, by root words, etc., etc. All of it, no matter how I look at it, all go back together. And it all shows that depression is outside of the body. It exists in the ethereal realm. I'm not even going to bombard y'all by going through the whole ethereal realm part. But trust me, it all go together, and it keep linking up, talking about circuits. And I'm not talking about the physical circuits in the body. I'm talking about from an original jolt, which is the Most High, coming down, being intercepted by the spirit of depression, which is female, and that energy is displaced, and the rest of the energy is corrupted. And now at the end it says, so as to be or remains supported by or suspended from. Other definitions for on, so as to be attached to or unified with. Now that corruption, which has been introduced to that transmission, is unified with the remainder of the transmission that enters the person. Another, at least two more, just two more definitions for the word on. And then I have something even for the letter N. Why not? Anyway, in connection, association, or cooperation with, as a part or element of. And the final definition for on, as to be a supporting part, based, backing, etc. of. Now let me see how I work this letter N in here, and let's see if the second turn. I think it will. I stopped somewhere along the way. Oh, N. The letter N was interesting because N is relative to my theory that depression resides in the ethereal realm, the spiritual realm, and is not originally from the physical realm, nor is it from the highest heavens as a part of the essence of the all. Because N in physics is symbolic of the neutron. In chemistry, it's a part of nitrogen. And in biochemistry, it is a part of, I don't know what it is. Asparagus. I don't know. I can't even read my writing. So I say that it stays concurrent with all that I'm saying because the ethereal realm is not just completely just void or dark. It's not absent. It's not empty. There is something there. It is just not visible to the human eye. We cannot see it. We are not in that dimension. And that dimension is composed of different elemental compounds, just like things here, us, are composed of different elements and elemental compounds to create us. Its density is different, and so we cannot see it. But it is still made of something. It is real. Is what I'm trying to get to. But anyway, let me read the last little definition I have. It is, N is a determiner, a indefinite number of, there are N objects in a box, meaning it's like a variable. The N represents, now I gave all these elements that they share for the letter N, but it also represents like a variable of unknown objects or origins. And what are we talking about? We cannot see the ethereal realm, which I didn't go over, but a little bit. We can't see, so we can't identify. We can't count it because we can't see it. We act like we don't know it there because we can't see it. But the purpose of this whole rambling video was to show that the depression does not reside within you. Neither does it come from the all. The vital force, life energy, that jolt, that universe, God, all, the divine sends or sparks down into us is intercepted on its way down within, I'm sure the time, milliseconds, fine milliseconds, I don't even know how to say it. In that time period, it is intercepted by an entity that is foreign to our realm. It is not, you can't see it in our realm, but it does exist. You can't count it because you can't see it. You can't count it because you're not in this realm, so you can't touch it. But it does exist. And it possibly based on the spelling of depression, the ordering of the letters, the prefix, the suffix, etc., that realm and those entities, including the spirit of depression, are also composed of the same electrons and neutrons and whatever else it talks about. It talked about electrons, neutrons, it talks about nitrogen and whatever this other thing is, but it's just saying that it's composed of some of the same things that exist here on this earth. They may just be combined in another way or at a lesser intensity or more compressed degree to the point we can't see it. It's one more thing here, and I don't even know. I know it comes back up here because it talks about nitrogen. Oh my goodness, this is horrible. Relative still to the letter N. This is in closing, chemistry. Relative to the letter N, relative to chemistry, which is nitrogen. It says nitrogen, catch it. I'm talking about now the ethereal realm. It seems to be pointing back to the ethereal realm. It is a non-metallic element that makes up about 78% of the atmosphere by volume. Atmosphere. So again, we have an atmosphere and we can't see our own atmosphere. Now this is what we know about our realm. Occurring as a colorless, odorless gas. It is a component of all proteins, making it essential for life, and it is also found in various minerals. So why did I feel like I had to define nitrogen? Because that definition of nitrogen relative to the letter N talks about our atmosphere and what we know it's composed of and what we need to sustain life. And we can't see it, but it exists and it supports our life. Now that ethereal realm also exists, but its contents is something that we don't reach out to. We don't study. We just think it's a void, open, black space, or we just not aware of it. But my theory is that it is just as active and just as alive and kicking as the realm that we live in. And who lives there? At least one spirit, one demon, is the spirit of depression. And so we gonna really come to understand how she works. That's my plan, to come see how she works. I just wanted to look at depression from another avenue, and that was part of my initial research before I really started diving deep and going into depression on a more physical plane level. But I thought I would find that. I thought I would find what I found, and yes, and I asked you to take a look because I did a poor job. But if you just take the word depression, break it down, and all its little components and read the definitions, and you may put on some intercourse and tack them together just like a little train. You'll see. Depression is outside of you. Until next time, can angels fly? I'm about to try to get myself together, y'all. Bye.